I came to Disney through theater, and I came to theater through French and my love of French theater and French culture. I studied French language at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and I took a class in contemporary French theater, and it was life-changing. I just fell madly in love with theater, with French theater, and started to do theater at the university. When I graduated, I had the opportunity to go to Strasbourg, to the National Theater in Strasbourg, and I did an internship there. Then I went back and forth between Paris and New York working in theater, and decided to go back to graduate school at the University of Michigan, the Master of Fine Arts program. And one day, I was sitting at my desk in my studio at graduate school, and the phone rang. I picked it up, and much to my surprise, it was a recruiter from Euro Disneyland Imagineering looking for lighting designers. So, I mean, it was like a beautiful day. And so I took the job, and I joined in 1990 the very talented lighting team that was illuminating Disneyland Paris, the first park, our beautiful castle park. And our motto was, lighting is the show. When I was a little girl, my family took the train from Chicago to New York to see the New York World's Fair. And really the only thing I remember from the whole experience is it's a small world. And I was just captivated by those beautiful dolls with all those exotic costumes from all over the world. And, you know, those memories are so strong. And that is really a big part of the Disney experience, is sharing memories and sharing emotions. And I remember after that I thought, oh, I want to go to those places. It gave me this sense of curiosity, and also a desire to go out into the world with great hope, not fear, great hope. Another big part of the Disney experience is an openness to other cultures. And I think really that time, the writing, It's a Small World, when I was a very little girl, introduced me to that possibility. What I love also about working at Imagineering here at Disneyland Paris is that it really has allowed me to combine my American roots with my love of French culture and French theater. And it's a very fulfilling experience. Theater is great training for just about any job, but especially at Imagineering, because you learn about working on teams. You work with people from all different disciplines, technicians, directors, artists, engineers. You have to really learn how to communicate. You learn also how to read a story, understand it, and then translate it into whatever your art form is. That's very important, both in theater and at Imagineering. You learn how to work under pressure. You learn how to meet a deadline. That's really important. And the other thing that I absolutely love is that thrill of moving together with this big team towards a common goal and racing to the finish line and making it. There's nothing like that thrill. The other thing that I also think is shared between Disney and between working in theater is the opportunity to work with all sorts of super skilled people. When I was working in theater in France, the people were so interesting, so talented. And boy, when we started to build the first park, the artisans, the sculptors, the painters that we worked with building the first park were just amazing. I was very lucky because I've always had good mentors at Disney. Paula Dinkle and Joe Falzetta mentored me through my whole career. And now actually I'm doing the same thing with the younger designers. Building the first park was such an incredible experience. I think I was most proud of just making it to the finish line. We worked so hard. It was a very ambitious project, and everyone worked so hard, and we made it. And you know, when it was all finished, it was just so beautiful. We have the most beautiful castle here at Disneyland Paris. So to be able to work on the lighting team that lit that beautiful castle, that was really something. I was so proud to have been part of that. And I still am. And when I worked on the studio team, it was the same thing. You know, you don't know until you really get there how it's going to look. And when it looks beautiful, it's so thrilling. It's so satisfying. I think the other thing that I always have really been proud of is how we're able to bring new things to the profession. When we started to work on the lighting at Disneyland Paris, we were looking for tools, new lighting tools. And, you know, many of us were from a theater background, so we were looking for those kind of tools that we would use in theater. And there wasn't so much then. And other lighting designers, European designers, were looking for the same things. And so we worked a lot with different manufacturers on developing new product, help us tell the story of lighting that we were trying to tell. And so I feel like we have contributed to the whole field in that way. And that's a great feeling. The first attraction that I lit was Autopia, and it was really a good introduction into the mindset and the way of working that we have at Imagineering. It was this, you know, Autopia, for those who don't know it, is this cute, cool little roadway where kids can drive a car, which is like a huge dream for kids. So it's lots of landscaping. How do you make that building look cool? We developed a lighting system that turned. It was like I thought of it as a comet racing around the building. Then I went on, the next project was really fun to work on, was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Peril. And that was a very different atmosphere. So it was sort of mystery and flames and this very sort of nighttime torches and a little bit of scariness, very different from lighting a highway. After the opening, I was driving with the project director and one of the construction managers in the golf cart. It was after park was closed, in the night, driving from one place to another. And at one point, the project director said, "Oh, I don't know what it is. I just love this place at night." And I started laughing and I said, "It's the lighting." Lighting design as a discipline has evolved significantly since I started at Disneyland Paris. I have seen lighting go from halogen to metal halide and fluorescent to LED technology, and each light source has its own qualities. It's like having a new paintbrush or a new set of paints each time. So it's a lot of fun to change and evolve each time with the tools that are available. When we did Fresh Coaster, for example, that was a really lovely attraction to work on. The beginning, guests go through the coral reef. And so it's a scene that's beautifully painted with these vibrant colors, just like in the film. And it's all black light. So we were able to develop with one of our manufacturers these small black light wave light fixtures that help to give the effect of being underwater. We really wanted the guests to feel like they were under the water. So the lighting was a huge part of making that successful. And so this was what we were able to do with some of this new LED technology. When we did Toy Story Playland, we have even more technology available to us, so we were able to do lots of color changing, that sort of thing with the LED lighting. And Toy Story Playland is about scale, become the size of a toy. So you're like Woody, you can see everything through his perspective. It's a super fun shift to make for the guest. And when you're working on it as a designer, you get to do all sorts of really cool things. Like we designed these giant oversized light string fixtures that are hung from Tinker Toys throughout the land, and they're just gorgeous. They're really fun, and we were able to use a lot of the LED technology. We had much better lamp life, less heat, They allowed us a lot of new possibilities. My last lighting project before I became an art director was the World of Disney. The World of Disney is really a voyage in the Disney universe. And you can find just about anything you're looking for there. And when you're in the shop, you just see all sorts of different elements from the Disney universe that you connect with emotionally. When we did the lighting for that, it was a transition between LEDs and metal halide lighting. So we mixed those technologies there. Were we doing that store today, everything would be on LEDs, but some fixtures weren't available yet because we had a lot of height and we wanted to have really the right color temperature, the right quality of light to really make all of the product look as beautiful as it is. So that was an interesting challenge in that shop. And the technology now in LEDs is there. Everything looks really great, but it wasn't quite when we were doing that shop. You learn to be nimble. You have to understand the story and move from one thing to another. I've had the opportunity to work really just about everywhere in the resort. So I've worked in both parks. I've lit restaurants, boutiques, been in the hotels, and even I worked on the lighting guidelines for Village Nature. I had a very good overview of the resort. I had a really clear picture of all the different things that we have in the park. When you're a lighting designer, you have to be a very good communicator because it's not so clear to people what lighting is. If you look at a lighting fixture that we often use, you could look at the lighting fixture, but if you don't know about lighting, you have no idea what effect that piece of equipment is going to produce. So we have tools, of course the tools are much better now than when I started, but you sometimes would do a little sketch or you would do a mock-up or you would explain and you would talk about splashing colors on walls. And, you had to really know how to tell someone what you were trying to do so they could imagine it and get excited about it. There is something in lighting we call the magic hour. And the magic hour is that little sweet spot between daytime and nighttime when the daylight starts to fade and all of a sudden the lights come on and the atmosphere completely changes and you can hear people in the park do this because they've discovered the lighting, and that's a huge thrill when you're a lighting designer. In 2011, I had the opportunity to become the art director for the Disneyland Park, and a whole new world opened. I had the honor of inheriting and growing all the stories. I was able to draw on all that knowledge and all the skills I'd been observing of the other disciplines over my years. So I began to work as an art director with the landscaping, with special effects, with painting, animation, graphics. And I realized that I'd been working on that for a long time. So I actually had a very good hold and a good understanding of all of the other disciplines. And it was really a privilege and an honor to be able to then step into an art directing role and work with all of those skilled people in all of those disciplines. I think the communication, of course, was critical. I learned to communicate as a lighting designer, and that really helped me when I transitioned into art directing. I have the luck of working with a very talented team of Imagineers, and together we evolve things, we help maintenance, we work with marketing, operations, anything that the guests can see in the park, we work on to make sure that it fits with the story, that the message is clear and that it's beautiful, and that our partners get what they need also. That's very important because it's one thing to build a park, but it's another thing to accompany a living, breathing, operating park. You really have to help your partners meet their challenges, and you have to make the operation smoother. And you want the guest to get a great show every time. And so maintenance is your friend. You really have to partner with them to make sure that that happens. So we are always innovating, updating, simplifying sometimes. It's an amazing task to accomplish. At Imagineering, we have more than 100 different professions. We have artists, we have painters, we have special effects, we have animatronics specialists, producers, engineers, research and development, graphic designers. There's a job for everyone. So it's very exciting to be able to work with all these people. And there's a quote that I like of Walt Disney's that I just want to read for you. He said, "Whatever we accomplish belongs to our entire group, a tribute to our combined effort." And it's really all about the teams, the strength of the teams. And I, in my time here, have worked with the most amazing teams, and I formed strong friendships with some of the people. And when I've been worked on a new project or a new park, the team becomes like your family. And there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into bringing to out of the earth a big project or even a small project. And when you and the team do that and you accomplish it and you're successful, the feeling is incredible, and you've done it together. We refreshed recently It's a Small World and brought new welcome and goodbye scenes, new colors. We regularly refresh the facades on Main Street, and every time we go back to a place, we always bring a new touch to it, because on Main Street, for example, if you were a proprietor of a shop on Main Street, when you repainted it, you would bring new colors. And we also want the guests to discover new things every time they come back into the park. Guest feedback is a very important part of what we do here at Disney. The guests are at the heart of everything. We want the guests to have an experience that exceeds their expectations. So we stay very close to what they're looking at, what their reactions are, what they like, what they think could be better. And we always try to incorporate that into whatever we're doing so that the guests, they're having a really wonderful experience with us. We want them to have lifetime memories. One of the important things that we hear from our guests and we really try and incorporate is how clean our park is. We know that the guests really like that. And as one of our leaders once said to me, first impressions are the most important. So we like the park to look really beautiful right from the beginning, so that you go into a place that's clean, that's safe, that's a whole nother time, that is part of a fantasy world. You leave reality. And we stay very close to what our guests are thinking so that we know what it is that brings them into this other world, and we can be there. It starts, of course, with our stories, but which stories we choose and how we tell them depends a lot on the guest reactions and guest satisfaction. The Imagineering teams recently did a big refresh in Pirates of the Caribbean and introduced Jack Sparrow. Phantom Manor got a new story, new effects. Big Thunder, beautiful new paint job. We're continually building, bringing new things. We also brought Mickey's PhilharMagic to the Discoveryland Theater. That's very popular. So there's a lot going on. For example, we're in the middle of a major refresh of Buzz Lightyear Laser Blast. If you come in the park now, you'll see that work is going on. We're planning to refresh the castle. And then of course, we have the most ambitious project we've done so far that's ongoing in the Walt Disney Studio Parks. So watch that space. If you would like to pursue a career path like mine, I would say be curious, explore, discover all sorts of treasures you may not have thought were there. Figure out what your passion is. What do you love? And just go down that path. It may be impractical. It may be something no one in your family has ever done before, something that you never thought you could do, but go for it anyway. And figure out what your talents are, get the right skills, and go for it. What Walt Disney brought to the theme park was strong storytelling and these incredible environments that just wrap their arms around you. And Disneyland Paris is a beautiful example of that. The storytelling starts even before you get into the park. Everyone comes to Disneyland Paris to see the castle. It's our icon. It's beautiful. It's where you take your maybe second picture, but that's your big photo opportunity. But when you come to Disneyland Paris, it's not, you don't see it right away. There's this whole sort of gentle reveal that brings you into the story. And it starts in Fantasia Gardens in front of the Disneyland Hotel, even before you go through the ticketing gates. So you walk through the garden, and then underneath the beautiful Disneyland Hotel, you go through ticketing, and you come to this cute little train station, Main Street, USA, 1900, this beautiful little old train station. And there's a plaque under it that says, "Here you leave today and enter worlds of history, discovery, and ageless fantasy." And that's what you do. You've left the world behind. So you walk underneath the train station, you come out on Town Square, and you see a pretty gazebo, this beautiful sculpted gazebo. You walk around it, they see the castle, and they go, "Oh!" And you think I'm kidding, but I literally see this all the time. And it's so beautiful to see people very different from all over the world, all coming together and experiencing the same kind of universal joy. And it makes me happy to be doing what I'm doing.